1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes, bienvenidos al Foro de Cultura Digital 2015, donde se ha venido discutiendo, no solo en este evento, sino en eventos anteriores a lo largo y ancho del país, sobre qué hacer sobre esta delicada relación entre propiedad intelectual, derechos de autor, cómo pueden sobrevivir los artistas, qué pasa con los intermediarios, la tecnología y demás. Un matrimonio que ha sido muchas veces de conveniencia, pero que ha estallado en los últimos tiempos y que plantea una situación bastante compleja en la actualidad. La idea es cerrar con este evento y de ahí establecer una agenda que sea la que se discuta a lo largo del 2016, que ese va a ser parte del cierre del evento de hoy. Como primer plato fuerte, como para empezar así tranquilos, tenemos por videoconferencia a Julian Assange. Así que ahora yo voy a pasar directamente a hablar en inglés. Aquellos que necesiten se pueden poner los auriculares y así recibir una traducción simultánea, y esperaremos que en cualquier caso, para quienes no lo tienen o no hablan tan fluidamente inglés, el audio sea lo suficientemente claro como para que todos nos entendamos. So, let me warmly welcome you, Julian Assange. I hope you're getting me clear.
Esperemos que nos escuches claramente.
Un segundo, me dicen acá. ¿No me está escuchando? Yeah, I can see you now.
Ahora te vemos.
Argentina. Can you hear me?
¿Me escuchan?
Hello, how are you? Very welcome.
¿Cómo está?
We
Bienvenido.
are really happy to have you here
Estamos muy
with us, at
contentos
least
de tenerte acá con
through this
nosotros, al
video
menos
conference
a través
system.
de este sistema de
The idea
videoconferencia.
of today is to talk about
La idea de
intellectual
hoy es
property,
hablar de propiedad
free circulation of
intelectual,
culture in the
la
digital
circulación de
era,
la cultura en la era digital,
to talk about corporations,
hablar
government,
de las corporaciones,
and
los
cyber
gobiernos
surveillance,
y la
and the challenges and
cibervigilancia,
opportunities of Latin American
y también
culture
los desafíos
in
y las
a
oportunidades
new
para la
global
cultura
order that is
latinoamericana en un nuevo orden global que está tan
So,
conectado.
first of all, we would really like to know
Primero
what is your
quisiéramos saber
approach about the current intellectual property system in most of the Occidental countries. What's your approach? What do you think it is doing to culture in global terms?
En términos globales.
Well, if I can just give a big picture first.
Bueno, primero puedo dar un
There is no
general.
sovereignty without cyber sovereignty. That's clear. We've already
O sea,
sadly
queda claro,
established that
sabemos,
fact.
establecimos tristemente que muchas
But
veces
we're
no es
rushing into a position where there is no
También
culture
tenemos una postura
also
en la
without a
que
cyber culture.
cultura sin
And pretty
cibercultura.
soon we'll be at the position where there's no meaningful economy
Tampoco
without
veremos
a
significado
cyber
para la
economy.
economía sin una
And that's very easy to
cibereconomía.
understand
Esto
when
es
you
muy
connect
simple de comprender
all
si
the organized
conectamos
elements of the
los
world to
elementos
each other.
organizados del mundo unos a otros.
Even almost every individual human being now,
Prácticamente cada o
that
todos los individuos
creates an
del mundo
information flow
están en esto hoy.
structure, an information
Y la
flow mesh
estructura de la
across
información
humanity.
hoy en
And
día
you are either
es
able
justamente
to
así, y es lo que
put
permite
material into that mesh, or
mantenerse
you're
en esta
not.
especie de malla. Uno está
Or
como conectado en
material
una
is put
en una
into
malla,
you
en una red o no.
from that mesh.
Depende de cada uno
So
pertenecer
this
a
ability
esa
to
malla
control
o no.
information
Entonces la visibilidad
and
para
to
controlar la
cause your
información
information to flow
y
into
para
others
que
is
la
now
información de
the
uno
new
llegue a
great game
otros es un juego
in the
nuevo, un
world.
gran juego nuevo que existe ahora en el mundo.
That great game
Y este
is
gran juego nuevo
affecting the structure
está afectando
of
la
global culture,
estructura de la
economy,
cultura global,
and sovereignty.
la economía y la soberanía.
Now, you would naively think
Uno podría
that
pensar
if you
ingenuamente
connected every
que
organization
si se
to
conectaran
each
todas las
other
organizaciones,
organization, each
unas
person to
a
every other
otros y
person,
todas las personas unas a
then you
otras,
have a situation
entonces
of almost
existiría
maximal
una situación
globalization.
de
And what you
máxima
would get
globalización.
is
Y
simply
lo que uno obtendría
homogeneity
sería
and domination of
homogeneidad
the periphery,
y una
domination of
dominación de las
the
periferias,
smaller centers of organization
dominación de las
by the
pequeñas
largest
organizaciones
concentrations
a
of
través de
informational
aquellos
power.
que tienen la
And to
mayor
some
concentración
degree
de poder y
that
de
is happening, and to
información.
some
Y
degree
en cierto punto
it is
esto pasa, en
proceeding.
cierto
It's quite a
punto está
frightening thing
sucediendo.
that, for example,
Pero, por
98% of Latin
ejemplo,
American
el 98%
telecommunications
de
go
las
through the United
telecomunicaciones
States on their
latinoamericanas
way
pasan
to
a
the
través
rest of
de
the
los
world, where
Estados
they can be
Unidos.
blocked if it comes down to it, and where they are intercepted and collected and analyzed and understood to understand how Latin America is working. But there is another phenomenon. It's not completely hopeless. The other phenomenon is when you connect people together with high bandwidth communications, people who want to communicate with each other communicate more than they otherwise would. And that is leading to everything becoming more of itself once it's above a critical mass. For example, Scotland here in the United Kingdom almost broke away in a national referendum from England late last year. In addition, Catalonia is looking like, culturally at least, it is starting to break away from Spain. And that process is occurring in many different places. The Welsh becoming, the Welsh language, after being dominated many years by English, is becoming stronger. So things become more of what they originally were when there's a democratization of computation, which meaning smaller groups can have the organizational capacities of larger groups and larger countries, and when there's increased communications flow, because within a subculture or within a country or within an economy or within a language group, you have greater coherence occurring more rapidly than compared to the groups that are further afield or where there's a language barrier. So that is really the future that we face. Is it going to be one of localized convergence, where that localized convergence operates in a manner where there is sufficient bargaining power with the rest of the world, who will preserve local cultures and identities to a degree, or are we going to end up in a world of global domination by the already strong informational powers? We are seeing both things at once presently. I've just lost your picture for some reason. Actually, you're back again.
Tenemos que ver qué es lo que va a pasar.
So in relation to, now you think, you ask about some of the formalizations.
Con respecto a la formalización,
okay, well, there's a big formalized approach as well, which is occurring over the last 5.5 years of negotiation of the TPP. That's the Trans-Pacific Partnership Arrangement. Argentina is not involved in it, but Peru is. Mexico, the United States, Japan, Australia, and other Pacific Rim countries, Chile included. The TPP is just one small piece of the puzzle. There's an attempt to create a new grand enclosure, a new legal and economic regime with 1.6 billion people in it, 2/3 of global GDP. And it's created with 3 agreements: the TPP, which has just been passed, the TTIP, which is the US-EU equivalent, to integrate the EU and the United States legally and economically, and the TISA, which Paraguay and Uruguay have also joined, as well as Colombia and Mexico, and amongst those 52 countries. So that is an attempt to create a new international order where the US intellectual property industries have a lot of power. It's a projection of US law about copyright, about what rules internet service providers should have, and many other factors in the economy. Who can go from one country to another? If you work for a multinational, you can. If you don't work for a multinational, you can't. A new visa program, a new way of having international court settlements and so on. Enormous construction that is, to a degree, well, it is the largest international regulatory project since the construction of Europe. So that's one formalized direction. I actually think the informalized dynamics proceed faster. So those are the interrelationships that are developing between countries and between industries, the various unformalized information flow. But there is a very serious formal effort to create a new grand enclosure which excludes Argentina by design, which excludes China by design, which excludes India by design, which excludes Brazil by design, which excludes South Africa by design, and in fact, every single African country but one. This, broadly speaking, come about as a result of the paranoia of the West, the paranoia of the Anglo-Saxon countries in relation to China, in relation to Latin America, to try and reintegrate, create a new bloc, and with that new integrated bloc have negotiating power versus China. But the classical intellectual property industries in the United States have also played the China card. They have used this card, this threat of China, to get the military-industrial complex and the diplomatic complex on side to achieve aims, monopolistic aims in terms of control over intellectual property that they always wanted to achieve. And that's in the medicine area, Hollywood, controls of a variety of patents and so on.
Varias cuestiones en lo que es China.
Excellent. Very, very good. Thank you very much.
Perfecto, muchas gracias.
As you may know, Argentina has invested a lot of money and efforts to extend the fiber optics network, get the students in secondary school to use computers, and more recently launched satellites designed in Argentina. Do you think these initiatives allow Argentina to have a better control on its technological sovereignty? Would you say so?
Yes, it is. 98% of Latin American telecommunications to the rest of the world are intercepted by the United States as they pass predominantly through fiber optic telecommunications to the United States. It also has, as National Security Agency documents reveal, extensive implants into the companies and governmental structures of Argentina and other Latin American countries. But one of the most serious controlling aspects the United States have is the ability to simply shut off those communications and devastate Latin American economy, including that of Argentina. That's why alternative fiber optic cables laid to Europe and the rest of the world and to Asia across the Pacific, why satellites and why the fiber ring that is being constructed within Latin American states is so important. Otherwise, Latin American states simply have to make those compromises. There's no doubt, for example, that if the Malvinas conflict started up again, that the United Kingdom would not only use its extensive penetration of Argentinian systems to make a counterattack, but rather it would apply pressure to the United States to apply electronic sanctions on Argentina, limiting its ability to maneuver.
Okay, I see. You partially already answered this question, which is that according to the report 2015, the special 301 report from the United States, Argentina became part of the blacklist of intellectual property. How would you say that can affect Argentina to be on that list?
Well, we can look at how fearful some other countries have been to be on that list. Sweden, for example, we published a number of cables demonstrating that in 2006, Sweden was strongly pressured by the United States in relation to the Pirate Bay and diplomatic cables, and was threatened. That's being placed onto that blacklist. And as a result, hundreds of police raided the Pirate Bay in Sweden. It broke its own laws. It then proceeded to extradite these people, including one which worked for us, Anna Carter, Gottfried Spaltholm, renditioned him from Cambodia. They literally renditioned him in 2012, violating extradition treaties and so on, giving millions of dollars to the Cambodian government to be able to rendition him to Sweden. So all now have gone to prison, all the original founders of the Pirate Bay. So it does show, unless a state is strong and is well supported by its population and its businesses, that is the result.
Algunos países que tienen
States just get pushed around. But I think in terms of practical consequence for Argentina, you would have to look at what has been done recently. There are quite a number of states on that blacklist. It might even be a good thing. In fact, I would say it's almost certainly a good thing. The results are fewer exports of Hollywood products to Argentina, presumably some kind of blacklisting of US software, for example. And it might even make Argentina more domestically independent in terms of its own intellectual property production.
Great. And there are new players in the game, big corporations such as Google. Which are the challenges they pose for democracy?
Well, look, I was talking to a drone pilot day before yesterday, and he was speaking about how in his jobs he had killed a great many people, and he had just been fed rubbish about the reasons, and he felt betrayed by the US government. And the National Security Agency information intercepts, feeds directly in to the drone program. And I can recommend a great publication today, actually, at the Intercept called The Drone Papers, showing how some of that drone, how some of the US drone program works with its integration of information obtained by the National Security Agency from telephones and from hacked computers and these mass interceptions. I tried to reassure him, yes, the National Security Agency is extremely powerful in terms of the amount of information it is collecting, the number of computers it has penetrated. But it is a bureaucracy. It is a horrible bureaucracy. It is not a nice place to work. It is deeply incompetent. And the surrounding bureaucracies, the contractors in the military-industrial sector, are also extremely corrupt. Secrecy breeds corruption and incompetence because you can't see what is going on. For example, look at the former Argentinian intelligence chief, who has now fled to the United States. Why was he in that position where he could act in such a corrupt manner? It's because of the secrecy of intelligence agencies. That's why intelligence agencies are very dangerous in relation to democratic oversight. It's why some of these reforms that have been proposed in Argentina are so important that they be completed. But in the end, corruption, incompetence, and bureaucracy has been the only thing that has saved Latin American sovereignty. Not its own corruption and incompetence of Latin American agencies, they are of course that as well, but that of the United States. These extremely large structures in the United States are deeply corrupt, bureaucratic and incompetent. And that's why we, for example, could, me in this embassy, surrounded by more than $21 million of surveillance that has been admitted targeting me, were able to, in a head-to-head contest, get Edward Snowden out of Hong Kong and get him asylum in Russia. It's absurd. It's the greatest manhunt the world has ever seen. How can a small investigative publisher win in such a case? It can only be because, not because we're so great, it can only be because the other side is deeply incompetent and corrupt. The problem becomes the commercial organizations. Google is not deeply incompetent and formally corrupt. It is not. It operates in a competitive commercial sector where most of what it is doing is visible to its commercial clients, and where it will soon be, its abilities will soon be eclipsed by others, for example, Apple, if it doesn't continue to expand. The US government then couples to these quite efficient commercial organizations. In the case of Google, it sticks its fangs into that vast stream of data that Google is collecting from around the world, collecting from more than 80% of smartphones,
por ejemplo, o
which are run by
metiéndose
Android,
en
which is
muchos de
Google
los
powered.
smartphones de todo el mundo.
Similarly,
Entonces, de manera
organizations
similar,
like
las
Google
organizaciones
are
como
now
Google
starting to
ahora están empezando
provide engineering for
a
basic government
proporcionar
services.
servicios
Yes,
de
that includes
ingeniería
obviously
para algunos
many government
países.
employees using
Hay
Gmail, for
entonces
example.
muchos
But it
empleados de gobierno
includes
que usan
maps for
Gmail,
city
o
councils,
mapas para
fiber
algunas
optics for
ciudades,
city
o
councils,
fibra óptica de algunas ciudades, o de algunas
databases,
alcaldías.
and for in some places,
Y de hecho en algunos
traffic
lugares
lights.
también se usan los
and
servicios de Google para lo
there's
que
a number of
respecta
other
al tráfico.
corporations involved,
Y hay
such
otras
as Circa or
corporaciones que están
G4S, which
involucradas
run
como
the prison system
Circa o
here,
G4S, que
which
tienen
in
otros
fact
sistemas también.
was responsible for
Y de
maintaining
hecho son
an
responsables
electronic
del
manacle which was
mantenimiento
attached to my
de la
ankle
situación
when I was under
electrónica
house
o de
arrest
la
and reported back to the British government
tobillera que yo puedo
every
tener cuando
second.
estoy arrestado, y esto le dice la
These
información de lo
commercial
que yo hago al
organizations
gobierno británico todo el tiempo.
have competencies because they
las
are also involved in non-secret
tienen
processes
competencias
that
buenas porque no
government
tienen
intelligence agencies do not
tema del
have.
secreto,
But when the
a
two
diferencia
merge
de las
together,
organizaciones de inteligencia.
which they
Pero ¿qué
inevitably
pasa?
do,
Cuando ambas se unen, la asociación de
then
inteligencia con las
that is a
corporaciones,
serious threat
esto es algo inevitable, esta sí es una amenaza muy
well, to
seria,
democracy, even
tanto
within the
para la
United States, but
democracia,
certainly to
viviendo en
democracies
Estados Unidos,
outside the
e
United
incluso
States.
para democracias también fuera de los Estados Unidos.
Great. And how important would you say hackers and whistleblowers are to the possibility of creating a more democratic society? Do they have a key role in changes in this scenario you're describing?
Democrática en el mundo y la cultura
Because the amount of information collected by secret organizations has exponentially increased as a result of the exponential increase in communication and computational processing. Yes, they're the only, well, they're whistleblowers and computer hackers are the only two elements which are able to combat that phenomenon. What do I mean by that?
¿Qué significa esto? Bueno,
the increase in computation, the increase in storage capacity, which permits the National Security Agency to collect so much information, also permits someone like Chelsea Manning or Edward Snowden to take a lot of information as well and get it to the outside. The information collected by those organizations increases their power. It increases effectively their comparative informational wealth. So it's one way that wealth, the wealth of the public commons, the information that we all use, we know about history and how our world works, we all use to understand what we should do personally and what our organizations should do, and to a degree what our society should do. That informational wealth must be kept in balance with the informational wealth that secret organizations have. And when a whistleblower comes forward, what they are doing is rebalancing the wealth. It's what WikiLeaks does. What WikiLeaks specializes in is taking this wealth from secretive organized organizations and transferring it into historical record, so to bring up the amount of wealth in the historical record.
De información en el mundo,
would you say it is possible to start thinking in an internet that helps people to be free, or is it already condemned to be a device for surveillance and control? Well, I mean, we've been a little bit talking about all this, but what's your expectation from the future? Where do you think the balance is heading now?
¿Dónde pensás que está el balance?
The internet is clearly the greatest threat to human civilization that the world has ever seen. That's a fact. If we look at previous threats to human civilization, what's the largest, most recent one? Well, it is the threat of thermonuclear warfare being conducted between the major nuclear powers. Even if that happens, it's going to wipe out the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere will be left essentially intact. There will be enormous economic shock in the southern hemisphere. as a result of a nuclear exchange, because the northern economies will be wiped out and the southern economies are connected to them. But human civilization will go on.
Va a continuar.
The internet has connected every single society,
a todas las
with the exception of North Korea,
con la excepción de Corea del Norte,
to all the major power centers.
A todos los poderes
and that development is increasing.
Y ese desarrollo está aumentando.
So as a result, if the internet goes wrong,
si algo va mal,
which we can argue it is in many different ways,
de alguna forma
but if that trend progresses,
si esta
then it's something that affects every human society.
A todas las sociedades del mundo.
What does it look like
¿Qué va a pasar
if it continues
si continúa
in that dystopian direction?
En esta
What it looks
dirección de destrucción.
Is extreme conformity.
Parece como una conformidad
when
que va
all the major power factions in the world
todas las naciones poderosas del mundo
most of the intimate details
saben los detalles más
about each individual.
De cada
There's no bargaining power
between
isolated individuals and these large power groups. Now the power groups have to get along with each other, and if they're highly connected, they will also start to conform. There's a lot of talk about will China provide a counterweight to the United States? Well, in some degree, it is increasing the bargaining power of Argentina. Argentina can do some of its deals with the United States, or if it's treated badly by the United States, it can do some of them with China. But at the elite level, the elites of China and the United States are coming together. The elites of those countries have more in common with each other than they do with people who are not a member of them. And we can see that integrationist process across many elites. If that continues, there will be essentially I don't want to sound ridiculous, but there will be integration of the global establishments and the global corporations. And then there's everyone else. It leads to a very, very conformist climate. You can see those micro-conformist climates potentiated by the internet in some universities now that develop into kind of cultural cul-de-sacs where strange obsessions develop with one politically correct phenomenon or another. The same thing will happen at a global level if the internet and global culture proceeds along that integrationist path. But as I said before, there is another tendency, and this other tendency is increased localized integration. Because people can communicate with people they want to communicate at greater speed, and therefore they become closer to each other and they start to harmonize and cohere. Perhaps this is a balancing force to what is happening globally, perhaps not. Cryptography can also provide another antidote. And how can that be? Well, if we look at the internet as another space, a kind of platonic realm where ideas and information is exchanged, what we can see from the national security interception, the problem is that is not true. The problem is that that informational world exists on computer systems which can be hacked. It exists on computer systems which can be seized. It exists over fiber optic cables that the United States can cut, or which can be monitored in bulk. Our informational world is also exists in the physical world. But cryptography can detach the physical world from the informational world by preventing even a superpower with unlimited coercive force from being able to get into the information world. And that allows different worlds to develop and cohabitate on the internet. In particular, it permits, for example, Argentina to communicate, say, with Germany through the United States, through cables which run through the United States, and the United States not be able to intercept that communication. And if they don't know if they're not able to track back
no pueden
the communication to Argentina, they don't even know that it's come from Argentina.
Pero ni siquiera sabiendo que viene de Argentina, porque está encriptada. Es una información que fluye.
Proper application of cryptography, which is hard to do, is able to cause a sort of independence
causar una independencia de alguna forma en partes del mundo informativo, del mundo físico.
Organizations and
las
states
organizaciones y los estados
and cultures can
y
use
las
that
culturas
to
pueden
grab
utilizar eso
a little more
para
independence for themselves.
agarrarse un poquito más de independencia para ellos mismos.
Great.
Muy bien.
Going to your, more to your personal situation, there's been some changes in regard of the police
en cuanto a la policía
watching
que está
the embassy all the time. Does it mean there's a relaxation? There are chances you may get out of the embassy in the close future?
Posibilidad de que salgas de la embajada en el
No, it is just a publicity stunt by the police.
Es un tema político y de
They
publicidad
actually,
de la
if you read their press release carefully, what they say is that they are increasing, these are their words, they're increasing the covert effort against me. So they have an overt police presence. Had an overt police presence at the front of the embassy, which was done also for PR reasons, to show that the British are tough. You know, they're going to keep someone who hasn't even been charged with an offence detained now for more than 5 years. But they're going to do that. They're tough. And those policemen standing there were there to provide an image for the world. But most of the money has gone on covert surveillance. It's very easy to do the mathematics. They have spent $21 million US dollars. They admit to spending $21 million US dollars on surveilling me here over the last 3 years. That breaks down to 164 full-time police at the starting police salary. Now there's a range of salaries involved, so it's around 100. Once you include the senior police, once you include costs, it winds up at about 70 full-time police in the surveillance, intelligence, analysis, and managing effort around the embassy. But we can, I mean, even today, we can see them out there now in a range of cars, civilian cars parked around the embassy.
And talking about the future of journalism, or how is journalism playing and how it is being challenged by new media organizations,
de medios, las wikis, que presenten información de otra forma. ¿Vos dirías que podría haber una apertura en el periodismo en general y distribuir otro tipo de información? ¿O ves que el periodismo está cerrando y reforzando el establecimiento del status quo? Bueno, están sucediendo ambas cosas. Es una época dorada del periodismo en una forma. Hay muchas videos, canales de video en internet, hay revistas también, consolidación también que está sucediendo con las nuevas startups, por ejemplo. Google es un buen ejemplo de esto. Es una empresa innovadora. En realidad, Google tiene buena innovación, tiene un motor de búsqueda, pero es fácil que esta escale, este motor escale, pero Google ha sido una empresa que ha comprado a otras, como por ejemplo Android, y las innovaciones se han dado y se han consolidado con un poder informativo en Google. Ahora, si hubiese un regulador de negocios global, ¿qué haría? Bueno, prohibiría a Google que compre a YouTube, por ejemplo. Estos dos negocios necesitan competir el uno con el otro. No, y evitar así la monopolización. Pero no hay una regularización a nivel global. Y el mercado de Internet es un mercado global. Entonces siempre va a haber problemas con los monopolios que aparezcan y que no puedan romperse o desglosarse en este mercado global. Lo mismo sucede con las nuevas formas de periodismo. El problema es que una vez que empiezan a ser exitosos, son compradas por los grandes jugadores del mundo, ¿no? Por los grandes establecimientos. Y eso no sucedió con Wikileaks, porque nosotros somos un negocio que nadie quiere comprar, por obvias razones.
¿Sabes
que tenemos elecciones pronto en la Argentina? ¿Cuáles serían tus 3 consejos principales al próximo presidente en el área tecnológica? Bueno, en primer lugar, no hay soberanía sin cibersoberanía. Entonces, los esfuerzos por producir cibersoberanía en la Argentina son muy importantes. Ahora existen varias maneras de hacer esto y obviamente tenemos que tener en cuenta también las funciones de inteligencia para ver qué es lo que pasa con las agencias nacionales de seguridad y también con el equivalente en el Reino Unido. Y también hay que desarrollar una capacidad local. Cuando vemos el desarrollo de la capacidad local en muchas de las industrias de Internet, veamos, por ejemplo, el caso de los Estados Unidos. Los Estados Unidos proyectaron a otros países una historia falsa sobre cómo produjeron su capacidad. Y eso era lo que querían hacer para poder sacar la escalera, por decirlo de alguna manera. ¿Qué querían ellos? Hacer una inversión fuerte en seguridad nacional y todo su aparato para producir, por ejemplo, semiconductores, chips de silicio, computadoras y todo esto. Entonces, se subsidió el mercado de capitales de riesgo para permitirle a todos los inversores que participaran. Y esta fue la historia del Silicon Valley, del Valle del Silicio. Pero hay un historiador de California que escribió la historia secreta del Silicon Valley y que describe la situación real, la inversión del gobierno, no tanto en las compañías, sino en las universidades, de manera que los graduados tomaran los productos intelectuales que habían desarrollados en la universidad y empezaran sus compañías. Entonces decían, bueno, nosotros vamos a comprar cosas, el gobierno decía, vamos a comprar cosas de las empresas chiquitas para que puedan crecer. Y las empresas más grandes crearon un mercado de capitales de riesgo para producir una mayor inversión, a su vez desarrollando sus economías locales. Entonces, lo mismo pasa con la cultura. Si no hay una inversión correcta y si no hay un subsidio en la cultura, entonces la cultura no funciona. En Latinoamérica y en Argentina hay mucha influencia de Hollywood, pero yo sé que Argentina también tiene una buena producción local en lo que respecta a la industria cinematográfica. Argentina es un país que no es lo suficientemente grande para hacer algunas de estas cosas por sí mismo. Entonces tiene que hacer un escalamiento hacia arriba de la economía para poder soportar ciertas iniciativas, como muchos de los países de habla hispana en América Latina. Entonces, aquí lo que surge es la pregunta, ¿quién va a tomar el liderazgo con lo que respecta a la cibersoberanía? Y me parece que lo natural sería que Argentina tomara ese rol por la calidad de sus universidades, por la capacidad de su población y por su gran capacidad de idioma español. Si Brasil tomara este rol, la situación se complicaría porque es un país de habla portuguesa y además es un país muy grande. Entonces Argentina, al tener tanta capacidad y ser un país de habla hispana, sería natural que Argentina sea el líder y que busque este liderazgo antes de que sea demasiado tarde. También hay una esfera ideológica importante y esta ideología que se ha desplazado hacia afuera a través como lo que hicieron en el Silicon Valley en Estados Unidos, esta idea que querían mostrar. Y ellos piensan que el futuro del mundo es solamente el futuro del capitalismo y eso es lo que ellos transmiten. Y ellos dicen, este es el futuro del mundo. Entonces, la izquierda, incluso la derecha argentina, tiene que desarrollar una narrativa, un diálogo sobre cuál va a ser el futuro de la tecnología allí y en Latinoamérica. O incluso el diálogo que se está produciendo en el Silicon Valley. ¿Por qué? Porque es esta narrativa ideológica que produce el Silicon Valley, que, como dijimos, es falsa, pero está allí. ¿Y qué hace? Le da más poder al Silicon Valley y le da una gran capacidad de penetrar los mercados y de comprar, por ejemplo, compañías argentinas para que funcionen mejor en el Silicon Valley. Entonces, ¿qué tiene que hacer Argentina? Tener una descripción alternativa y desde el punto de vista ideológico sobre el futuro de la economía. Y eso tiene que estar allí. Además, tiene que haber una descripción ideológica del futuro de la tecnología, porque todos saben que el futuro de todas las economías se relaciona con el futuro de la tecnología y se relaciona con el futuro de la Internet. Si uno no tiene una descripción ideológica y un programa crítico sobre qué va a hacer con el futuro de Internet y con la tecnología para el futuro, entonces si no tienen una descripción de qué va a pasar con el futuro de la economía y no tienen una descripción de lo que va a pasar en general, no van a tener la capacidad de preservar la soberanía. Estamos recibiendo preguntas a través de Internet. Hay mucha gente que está viendo esta conferencia por streaming y una de las preguntas que nos llega ¿es posible tener algún tipo de neutralidad de la red a nivel mundial? ¿Le parece que esto se puede lograr? A ver, no es fácil. Las agencias de inteligencia están diseñadas para romper las leyes. Eso hacen ellos. Operan de forma ilegal. Entonces, con ellos así no va a pasar. Oportunamente se puede llegar a crear estructuras que investiguen a estas agencias y ordenen la situación. Y si Argentina, por ejemplo, en este momento está involucrada en grandes esfuerzos para lograr esto, este control. Pero hay que alimentar y prestar gran atención a esta situación. Pero a nivel mundial, es muy difícil. La neutralidad de la red a nivel mundial es un tema interesante. ¿Por qué? Porque la neutralidad de la red, en lo que se relaciona con otros aspectos que no son la vigilancia, como por ejemplo la interconectividad, ¿cómo se puede llevar adelante todo esto? Esta es la clave. ¿Cómo se pueden mantener los grandes incentivos? Se pueden crear incentivos. Las embajadas, por ejemplo. Este es un tema increíble, que está rodeado de, por ejemplo, en esta embajada estoy rodeado de policía, pero no entran. Físicamente no pueden entrar. ¿Y por qué no entran? Porque el costo sería demasiado alto. El costo sería demasiado alto en términos de retribución a lo que respecta a las embajadas del Reino Unido en otros estados. Porque la gente pensaría que puede entrar libremente a las embajadas del Reino Unido en cualquier lugar del mundo, como en Ecuador o en Argentina o en cualquiera, si hicieran eso. Entonces, las embajadas durante muchos años. Y lo mismo sucede, o el mismo equilibrio delicado podría alcanzarse en lo que respecta a la neutralidad de la red sin interferir con el tráfico. Entonces, tenemos un acuerdo de que no interferimos con el tráfico, tenemos un acuerdo de que el tráfico sea inmune con respecto a las interferencias, y en ese caso se podría detectar una interferencia que no sea la vigilancia. Entonces, así se podría crear un mecanismo de puesta a punto para evitar este tipo de situaciones. Muchísimas gracias por su tiempo, por haber sido tan claro sobre todo lo que preguntamos. Ahora tenemos que seguir adelante con el próximo panel, con el próximo tópico. Así que quiero agradecerle. Estamos realmente honrados. Yo soy un gran admirador. Muchísimas gracias. Y la gente que está aquí presente también le está dando un gran aplauso en agradecimiento por su participación en este foro. No sé si escucho. Sí, los escucho los aplausos. Muchas gracias y espero que pueda visitar la Argentina pronto. Yo también lo espero.